Alrighty, both of your tanks are empty. So I've got a live propane tank here we're going to do demonstrations with. After we get done doing a walkthrough of the truck itself. This is your waste drain valve. Hook up your 3-inch RV waste hose. Once hooked up to the hose, pull the gate valve to the side. Do apologize. Water will flow out like so. Make sure that you have an approved area for dumping the wastewater out of the tank per the codes department. Once that is finished, you can close the valve, remove cap or remove hose, and put cap back in place before transport. Right above that is your city water fill box. This is for filling your freshwater tank itself and using the water pump, or you can bypass and use the city water fill, which is pressurized, and you do not need the water pump itself. I'm going to go ahead and show startup of the generator. There's a stop prime button here on the side. Press and hold that in. So we're going to go over the fire suppression system and the exhaust fan. So your filters are removable for cleaning purposes. Simply make sure that you remove these out and clean these periodically so you do not have grease buildup from deep fryer or the foods itself. You always want to run the hood system because of the heat sensors and the liability. The heat sensors are set for each piece of equipment. So if you run the equipment without the hood system on and those sensors break, or those heat links, everything that's in this tank will end up coming out of the nozzles and dumping all over your equipment, which is about a $2,000 cleanup plus about a week time being down for getting everything cleaned. So definitely, again, periodically make sure, whether it's daily or every other day, for cleaning the filters itself. Always run the hood system when the gas is being turned on and the equipment's on. And with the filters, once you put them back in place, keep the gaps as tight as possible. That way you don't have grease bypassing the filters itself. Always make sure that you leave ample time for those filters to dry. So if you clean at night the filters and let them air dry throughout the night, they'll be ready to go in the morning. What grease or condensation doesn't collect in the filter itself will drop down to the drip tray, which is located here, which hooks onto the dial pins on each side. There's a cup that hooks into these two dial pins that the grease will run into. Monitor that cup daily. Nobody other than a licensed fire suppression company needs to tamper with the nozzles or sensors. And you'll need to plan on quarterly visits for your local hood fan cleaning company, whatever is nearest you, for cleaning the extraction fan outside of the truck. Again, this system is live and ready to go. You'll need to have your local fire suppression company and fire marshal come out and tag and certify the system so it's ready to go for use. Before we ever plug the water heater in itself, we always want to make sure we have continuous water flow, like you would see here, on both faucets. You want to have both faucets plenty of water flow. Your 100 amp panel, so you got a 100 amp panel for the breaker storage. You got 20 amp circuits itself. Your main breaker is a 30 amp 240 volt main breaker, because that's all of the power that the generator itself is going to provide, which is distributed equally throughout at this moment. So before we ever turn propane on, you always want to make sure the hood fan the exhaust fan is on itself, but also you want to make sure that all of the control knobs for the equipment is in the off position. So off, lining up with the red dot, as well as the thermostat itself. Same thing for the stove, the oven, making sure that all of the control knobs are in the off position. See here. So, real quick, I'm going to turn the generator back off so I can go over the gas. Turn that off and go ahead and turn the light switches off. So for the propane itself, and it's hard to make this video and be able to run the generator right here. So my tank is the same tank that you have set up on your trailer or truck. So I'm going to activate by turning the gas on here at the tank itself, powering gas all the way to the shutoff valve. This is for either tank. You only need to run one at a time. So on this side, we're on the passenger side of the truck. So once I pressurize the line itself, knowing that everything is in the off position inside the truck, hood fan on, I open this valve and I should hear the line charge. It's a ch. That's it. If you hear continuous gas flow coming through this upon startup, immediately shut this valve off. Go inside and inspect to make sure nobody has tampered with the control knobs, because just this little bit, turning this on, will allow a lot of propane to come out, which can be very dangerous. So again, when you are starting up at the beginning of each day, you charge the line coming to the pressure valve. Again, exhaust fan is on. When you turn this valve on, you should hear the line charge, and that's it. Again, if you hear repeated gas coming through this on startup, immediately shut off and inspect. Now, if everything is in the off position and you still have gas running through, you'll need to have a local gas company come out and inspect the piping below, because it runs below the truck, and potentially a piece of road debris, if it was ran over, could fly up and hit the gas line and break it and damage it. So again, start up, very, very important that the door's closed, everything's in the off position, hood fan's on, charging the line. You open this valve, it's going to be a charge on the line, and that's it. Now, once the equipment is up and running, you're going to hear gas coming through here. So if you step outside and you're a cook, you have cooks in here and they're in here cooking, you're going to hear gas coming through this. That's normal once the operation is up and going, but not upon startup. Turn that back off. We'll go back to starting the generator. So as you did, I went to go ahead and start it. You need to always hit the stop prime button, allowing the pump to pump fuel to the unit itself. And sometimes you want to actually hold that in a little bit longer than I did. There we go. So generally about 7 seconds, you're going to hold that stop and prime button itself in. So back to our video, we're going to go ahead and turn the extraction fan on and the lights itself inside. We know everything is in the off position. I'm going to turn on the propane to the tank itself. And again, I'm going to listen through this two-stage regulator to hear the line charge. It's like I said, a split-second charge. We are ready to go in and fire up the equipment. Now, I would recommend having quite a few of these lighters on hand, as these are needed for lighting the equipment. You will never force light this equipment. What I mean by force lighting, all of the equipment stays in the off position at all times when you're lighting the equipment. You will see I'm holding the camera with one hand, lighter in one, and there we go. Well, very important to have good lighters. So as just seen, again, propane is coming through the pallets enough for those to be lit. Once your pallets are lit, then you have full control for your burners to be in operation. Now you're going to see we got metal wire holding the burners in place that wraps around the frame of the unit itself. Eventually, due to excessive heat, it will break. Make sure that you put more wire in place to hold those burners in place for transport. There is a drip pan or spillage pan that will need to be monitored daily as well. For the oven, one rack, 5 different slots. Again, this is in the off position. There is no lighter that's needed for the oven itself. What you do is press in the pallet button here and then press this button. Now you have to do it together, so again, pressing in this pallet button while administering the we're going to be looking for the pilot light to be through this hole here. Let's see, where you at, camera? There we go. So, see the pilot light going? I'm still continuing to hold this button in place. As long as I can slowly release the pilot button and that light stays on, which is the pilot, you're good to go. At this point, you would not need to leave this open. You can close this back. For demonstrational purposes, I go ahead and turn it up to 350 degrees. That way you can see your burner actually working. Once you're done, do make sure that's turned to the off position as well. Coming around to the deep fryer. Going to remove that shield itself. I always start with, I turn this on and off, listening for that clicking noise to make sure that thermostat is connecting with the gas valve itself. Once I have done that, then I can rotate to where the pilot button, the L, meets the red dot and allows you to push in. You will push in and hold here while administering fire to the thermopile itself. Let's see how I can do this. Bear with me while I here. Try to hold the camera and light it at the same time. Perfect. Pilot button held in. pilot light activated. I'm continuing to hold this button in while this thermal pile gets nice and hot. Generally it's going to turn to an orange glow. If your pilot light will stay lit when you slowly let off this pilot button, as I have done, then you are good to go to rotate to this to the on position, on meeting the red dot. Now, this heat shield must go back into place before operation to keep the flames inside and the heat as well. So you light the equipment first thing in the morning while you're prepping, and then when you're ready to go, then you have full operation of your burner. Once you are done, do make sure that you do rotate that back to the off position for safety. In the paperwork in the fridge is a drain tube for the deep fryer. You cannot travel with oil in the vat. It is very dangerous. It is not recommended. You will need an improved container to be able to dump the hot oil into. That way you can reuse it. So you'll thread that piece in and open the valve and allow it to flow out. We're going to go ahead and rotate on over here to the 36-inch griddle. Same thing, these stay in the off position. At the end of the flexible looking hose is where the pilot light is. And as long as you have the flame below it, because propane's heavy, it will light. Then once you have those pilot lights going, you can go ahead and rotate those control knobs to the on position. That way you can start warming up the griddle. Now for the griddle itself, it does have a drip pan for cleaning. So any debris that comes off of the griddle goes in this drip tray. Monitor that daily as well. Definitely make sure that you do not put raw water on this griddle plate. It will rust. You'll need to use so much water with so much lemon juice or vinegar for cleaning it off, cleaning the oil off of here for manufacturing itself. And then at that point, it'll be 100% seasoning in. And so once you have it seasoned in, it kind of like a cast iron skillet, it keeps the flavor from the product itself. Whatever you're cooking, it will, like this whole stone itself will never be shiny again as far as the cooked surface itself. Now, you definitely want to make sure that all of this is kept clean. And definitely, if you want to use, a lot of times we'll see like vegetable oil in spray bottles. That way, every time that you're putting meat product on here, you're not going to have an instant where it wants to stick. Also, once this griddle plate gets hot, it holds heat for quite some time. Do be very careful with this surface right here. It gets very hot as well. So a lot of it's trial and error. Go ahead and definitely cook on it. Cooking all the product one time, and whatever that food is, throw the first batch of food away that's on the actual griddle, and even the deep fryer for cleaning. You'll need to clean the deep fryer, which I'll give you a packet of boil out for cleaning the chemicals out of it as well. We'll come around to the steam table. So you've got your steam table itself. You're going to have one pan that goes in for water, and then you'll have your food pans itself. Definitely do not put water directly in here, as you will damage the unit. See, these are in the off position. Simple light of the pallets itself, as shown. Then you have control again. If you don't want to use the steam table, you can simply rotate the knob opposite of the line itself, and the gas will dissipate out from the actual unit itself. As shown. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that back on. Most people want to definitely use the steam table. So very, very great operation to start off with. Again, this griddle plate's already probably 150 plus degrees out right now. So definitely get used to the griddle plate itself. It is very, very effective in its cooking process. If you are done for the end of the day, always shut off the gas before transport. Do not leave on by any means while driving the truck or when closed for business. Again, you have the same style tank. After shutting the valve off itself, then shut off the tank. You can have a licensed or a propane company come out and fill the tanks on site wherever you may be, or you could drive up to them, either one. They will fill it from this cap here. The line here itself will be connected in and tightened with the appropriate wrench. It's a 7/8 wrench if you do have to break that loose to remove the tank itself. Now once your gas is off, you do not need to have the hood system on. So if you're just running prep and cleanup itself, you do not need to have the hood system on if the propane is turned off on the unit itself. Got the fridge sitting at 36 degrees. Again, turn the AC back on. Go ahead and show you the apartment itself. So rotate this to the on position. Start it up and ready to go. Both doors do shut. As always, if you're going to drive with the doors open, definitely make sure you have seatbelts on. It can be very dangerous. So, yeah, we're looking at 71,503 miles. Washers. So you got right side wiper, got left side wiper, got your headlights. This is the wiper for the left side. Then you got your headlights itself. You got your high beam switch and low beam switch. Hood release. These switches are not used. They had extra lights on it. That's what these switches are for. And again, this is your right, and then your key switch itself. When you do turn the truck off, turn off, but also turn this off. This turns all power off to the unit itself inside the truck. We turned the fridge sideways so that you had more access to walk through the hallway itself. Now definitely if you want to run the generator going down the road, you're perfectly fine with doing that. That way you have AC control or heat control. Hot water, which I'll go get my thermostat here in just a second and show that part of the unit. Now we're down to 32 degrees. So I have disconnected this portion here for transport. When you get back to your local municipality or the state or city you're in, the fire suppression company will hook this back up, which this will simply thread back in place and be tightened. I did that so that in case in transport to you, that if the unit was to show in the fired position, everything in this tank would not release outward. That was the purpose of that. So again, that will sit for transport separated. It will need to be reconnected once you get to your local state by your local fire suppression company. Let's see if that shows 11, going on the 12th hour for testing. So also have a carbon monoxide alarm in here just for safety protocol with the generator itself and everything that is in the operation of the unit. I will go get the thermostat for showing the water temp. Alright, we're going to go ahead and show the water temp. Turn it on a little bit faster. There we go, 120.4 and still climbing. Let's see here. Go ahead and see what the temp on the AC is. Sitting at a nice 60 degrees. So upon shutdown procedure of the generator for the end of the day, make sure that you turn this off itself. Make sure that you go ahead and turn the light switches off and then power the unit off itself. I do want to go ahead and show the exterior lights on. I didn't show that momentarily. don't know if I can reach this plug, but we'll try. Let's see, 1 second, I'll lay the camera down. There we go. Sorry about that. Showing that plug itself in the TV box working. Alright. Now back to shutdown procedure. Again, we're gonna make sure that we turn all the power source off. Not a bad idea to go ahead and turn your main breaker off itself, and then you can turn the generator off by hitting the stop prime button. Alrighty. Again, before transport, just always make sure that those burners are wrapped up good and tight with metal wire. Make sure that your vat is clean for the grease. Make sure that your drip pan is put in a safe area and all utensils being used, as well as the drip pan for the stove. Making sure that everything is in the off position, as well as the gas outside also. So this is your brand new food truck for Monica Woodard. We do thank you for your patience on this process. I know you've been waiting patiently. Wish you the very best. If you do have any questions on how to operate this unit, please do not hesitate to reach out to us at any time. Be glad to assist. Anybody that's going to be using the truck itself, definitely have them watch this video to help educate them in keeping a safe and prosperous business. Thank you very much.